Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when.
Hey everybody, this is Jakubisin coming to you from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I'm the Positive Youth Development Educator for the University of Wisconsin's Division of Extension that serves Fond du Lac and Washington County. Man, that is a long title, isn't it? And I tell you what, I am so thrilled to be a part of MNP's Train of Positivity Virtual Summit. I'm so honored that they called and asked me to contribute. My presentation today is called 60 Seconds to Impact. Let's make sure it's positive. You know, the reason I want to talk to you about impact is because in today's world, with so much going on, we live in historic times, and with COVID going on, with civil unrest, where people are peacefully protesting and asking for and creating change, which is awesome. There's also a little element where people are frustrated, they're angry, they're isolated, and sometimes they don't think about the words or their thoughts or their actions, and the impact is quite negative. So I think it's really important that we can talk about that and maybe even come up with a little tip that can help people through that. One illustration of intent and impact is a story I always tell whenever I go to a snowball or snowflake or a red ribbon rally or a leadership conference. I tell a story called Duck in the Mailbox. I don't have time to talk about it now, but basically it was a long time ago. I was with my brother and his son, my nephew, who was only 2 years old, and I said, watch this. This is going to be funny. And my intention was to play a little joke on my nephew that was going to be hilarious. But the impact is that I terrorized him and I scared him and he cried, and it really upset him for a long time. So it's a funny story now because it was decades ago and we've gotten past it. But there's an illustration. My intention was this is going to be funny for everybody. The impact was that it was not. So sometimes we make impact on something with our thoughts, our words, our actions without even having a real intention. And that can be powerful too. A case in point, years ago before my prevention career, I was actually a drug and alcohol counselor. I spent 7 years doing that in the Chicagoland area where I worked at a residential hospital-based where kids had to go live and get treatment for their alcohol and drug addiction. And there was this one kid, Nate, and he was really just this calm, cool, quiet kid. And I ran into him 6 months after he went through treatment successfully. And he actually said, hey, Ron, I have to tell you, you changed my life. And I got all puffed up and was like, wow, that's awesome. I bet you it was that time we had this great counseling session with your parents and you cried and they cried. And, you know, it just came all together. And so he went on in the conversation. I didn't say that out loud. That was just in my head, my ego, you know. And so he went on to tell the story, and he said, you know, every night after we had dinner, we would go down to the gym and we would just burn off some energy. And you'd always say, what do you want to do? And the whole group would say, play basketball. And I wanted to play volleyball. And he said, one night, after about 2 weeks of every night playing basketball, you came to the gym and you said, we're all going to do what Nate wants to do today. We're going to play volleyball. Now, I was just being polite. I didn't even think about it consciously that it was going to have impact. Yet, for him, that was the moment he told me when I ran into him that he said, you know, that's the moment I realized that someone cared for me and someone went out of their way. And it was just really interesting that that was the impact it had because I had no intention. I was just being a polite guy, noticing that he could never play volleyball and everybody was playing basketball. So we never know what happens when we say things. And so there's a thing I want to go over and talk about that helps us with understanding what our intention is and what our impact could be. So what I want to talk about is waiting. And that sounds kind of silly, like really that's the big tip is waiting? Well, it's an easy acronym. You know, it stands for what am I thinking? Wait. And it's a great little thing to say out loud, what am I thinking? Because it puts space between your thought and just blurting something out or action and just doing something. puts a little space in there to give you some time to say, is this going to be positive or negative? I know even though the duck in the mailbox story is old, if I could go back in time and I would have said to myself, is this going to be funny for my nephew? I probably wouldn't have done what I did to play that joke on him. Well, I hope you find the weight concept as a useful tip. I know it takes a little time to practice, but with time, you'll get better at it. And remember, it kind of helps you understand what your intent is and what the possible impact is, which could help you choose if it's going to have a negative or a positive impact on something. So in the meantime, I'm going to have to wait, as in be patient, to be able to see you. So I hope in the near future I get to your school or your church group or your statewide leadership conference in order to meet people and to come out and do more teaching. I do want to offer one last resource. I mentioned at the beginning that I worked for the University of Wisconsin Extension Office, and I will tell you every state and every county has an extension office. So if you Google your county's name and your state and put the word extension office, you will come up with a website that has offerings for you to get engaged with youth in your community, leadership trainings, opportunities to even travel and learn about our government. There's space camp. There's a lot of hobbies you can get involved with and learn skills as well as meet people. Also, there's community development resources there, so you can have somebody come out and do some board development with your group, or how to be an entrepreneur, or how to engage in other community issues in your area. So take advantage of that. I want to thank M&P again for inviting me to come to the virtual summit. It truly is a train of positivity. I hope you guys have a great rest of your summit. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for joining us for the Train of Positivity Virtual Summit. We hope you choose to have a great day. Please be sure to check out other positive influencers throughout the summit. And if you enjoyed this specific talk, feel free to like and subscribe and share with other positive humans through your favorite social media outlets using the hashtag #TrainOfPositivity.